Let us therefore begin with ourselves, remembering that we are part of that church, and that our own need of revival is in some measure the cause of that need in the church at large.
Oh, there you are. I was going to say, remembering that we are part of that church. What pagan church? You've externalised it, we're internal. We make up the pagan church, and now you've just said it, you're referring to Christendom. So where's the church? You've just taken the Church of Jesus Christ away, you pagan fiend, and made us to be a part of Christendom. That's like taking Isaiah and saying he's part of Judaism. Yeah, wickedness. Wicked. This man is wicked. We are standing as the true church, the true church we stand as. You have just done away with us, you pagan fiend. You're classing us with the national, as it were, church.
Magnify her little errors.
Nasty place.
While we too often forget our own imperfections.
Absolute nastiness, this man.
Let us therefore begin with ourselves, remembering that we are part of that church, and that our own need of revival is in some measure the cause of that need in the church at large. I directly blame the great majority of professing Christians in these days, and I also accept the blame myself, acknowledging the need of a revival of holiness. I will clearly and boldly lay the blame, because I think I have abundant grounds to prove it. I believe that the majority of so-called Christians in this age need a revival, and my reasons are these. In the first place, look at the conduct of many who profess to be the children of God. Look at the conduct of many who profess to be the children of God.
Right, let us get something pagan straight here, Mr. Spurgeon, again. Neo-evangelicalism preaches revival. Scriptures preach conformity to the heavenly. Yes, when it comes to revival, revive thy word, O God, it means for the one true church over time to come back, to grow up from being children up into adults, whilst doing so, putting in society an example and the teaching of what is right, opposing what is wrong, teaching what is right, with an exegesis as to what is right. In other words, standing there and saying, right, this is right because, and this is right because, and that's right because, as the world is saying, oh no, this is right. And there is this apologetics, exegesis, whatever you like to call it, a battle. And we are correcting the world. This is the revival of the scriptures. A sowing forth and a going forth of the truth by us, the vessels. And we, the invisible church, feeding into this world truth and righteousness, not backing off. Children back off. So again, revival is waking the children up to attend to their lessons of truth and righteousness, learn this and feed it into the world, and be an example in our everyday lives of truth and righteousness, the way things are. Not conforming to the world. If the world says do this and it's wrong, no, can't do it. Conscience says not doing that. God and conscience I will not go against. Eventually, over the years, like the Welsh revival, the true Welsh revival, over the years, that was brought about simply by returning to the scriptures, to godly principles and godly morals, a godly way of life, and the people around were influenced. And then of course neo-evangelicalism came along in 1904 with it and destroyed the pigging lot. Took it all away. Was it Evan Jones? Wicked man. Carry on, Spurgeon.
It is unbecoming to any man who occupies the pulpit to flatter his listeners. And I will not attempt to do so.
You're doing that all the time.
The evil lies with those who unite themselves with Christian churches and then virtually protest against their own profession. It has become very common nowadays to join a church. Go where you may, you find professing Christians who sit down at the Lord's table. But are there fewer cheats than there used to be? Are there less frauds committed? Do we find morality more prevalent? Do we find vice entirely wiped out? No, we do not. The age is as immoral as any that preceded it.
I wonder why.
There is still as much sin, although it is more masked and hidden. The outside of the grave may be whiter, but within, the bones are just as rotten as before. Society is not one bit improved. Those men who in our popular magazines give us a true picture of the state of London life are to be believed and credited, for they do not stretch the truth. They have no motive for doing so, and the picture which they give of the immorality of this great city is positively appalling.
You wonder which planet this bugger's living on. Spurgeon should be saying, if ever he could speak the truth, that due to the increase and influx of people from outside rural England and other countries, mainly other countries, the wickedness of London has risen to an all-time high. And of course the peelers were eventually brought in to protect the rich. They weren't to protect the public. They were to protect the rich from being attacked and their homes broken into and themselves attacked on the streets. And of course those on the streets, of course, traders and the like, were all called cockneys, right? Because they were the lowest form. Cockney was a derogative term that was coined by the upper classes as a derogative term for the lowest of the lowest classes. And they were afraid of them. Eventually, of course, Robert Peel, Lord Muck, as my mother would call them, brought in the peelers. Well, that took over from the army and the sergeants. London ever increased by foreigners. And then, of course, after the First and Second World War, there was a cull, and now we're rising up again with foreigners and evil and criminality. Come back in a moment.